trailer they got there, huh?
I'm a couple minutes early.
Oh, is it really? Right next to it?
Hello, hello, hello.
With a 40-footer or something?
So, I'm going to try to get this up in here. I'm in the bedroom, so you may hear stuff in there because we just got to Arizona today. And so we don't have our screen room up, so I have to do it inside because the wind has been crazy. I don't know if you saw my post earlier, but the wind was absolutely insane last night, and it's a little crazy still.
Season 8, episode 19.
So we're kind of winging it inside. I don't normally do it inside because, everybody else is in here and you guys can hear them and they can hear us, and it's a little weird, but we're getting there. Moderation activity is now hidden. And use are put in timeout or hidden. What? I don't even know what that means. Okay. So I wasn't sure if I was going to do it, if I was going to postpone it, but I didn't want to postpone it again because this is kind of a short chapter anyways. And I hate to postpone it. It's just trying to figure out where to do it and everything. He made it. Ice storm. Oh, good. You're in an ice storm. Oh my goodness. And then I had some more drama today, and so I'm here. Yay, ready for book club. I'm glad. I really enjoyed this chapter. And for the first time I went on and kept reading a little, which I was going to really try not to do. But I couldn't stop after this chapter. I just felt like I had to keep going. Did any of you do that? I know we said we're going to try to keep on chapter, and I've been trying really hard. I haven't been doing that, but I did go on a little bit because this is a short chapter, and after this chapter ended, I was like, really? That's it? You kind of like start, it really gets stuff going after this chapter, right? I read to chapter 7. Yes. Okay. See, I did not quite get to chapter 7, but I did read chapter 6. I did stop at 5 for everyone to catch up. Okay. So, let me tell you, first of all, on a personal level, we are now in Arizona, which means I was all screwed up. I was trying to figure out what time that meant I had to come on. I'm kind of glad that it means I have to come on earlier. That means I get to come on at 5 o'clock in the time we're in, which is mountain, I think. Yes, we're in mountain time. I'm so confused. That means that we're 2 hours behind New York.
That's correct.
And poor Steven, what is it, like midnight for you or something?
7 hours.
Poor Steven and then I got confused and I thought that means I have to go on later. And I'm like, I think that means I have to go on at 7 o'clock. And he's like, yeah, I'm out. Because that would mean like 3 a.m. or something for him. I'm like, oh, wait, no, it means I go on earlier. Okay. So, so that means I get to come on a little earlier, which is good. But now I also see why the people who are on the West Coast, why they have such a hard time, because here it's 5 o'clock here. So like if you have a job and you're working, it's going to be really hard for you to like join in these videos, right? So I'm going to have to start doing like videos a little bit later and then some earlier. I'll just be on all the time. Hi, Lady Blind Wolf. I really do want to start doing more videos. It's been a little crazy since we left, and I have a lot of ideas, and it just hasn't come to fruition yet. But things are starting to settle down. I'm starting to get the hang of what I'm doing around here with the camper. So hopefully I'll start being on more. And I've been learning how to edit videos, which if you guys know me, you know I'm not an edit person. So the fact that I'm starting to edit videos now, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do a couple more. That means I can do kind of more short videos if I can edit them, because when we do live, that's why you guys call me Mama Squirrel, obviously, because I get distracted and then it ends up to be an hour-long video, even though I only had like 10 minutes worth of shit to say. But at least you know that, right? So, okay, so that's going on. We're in Arizona. We're where we're at for 10 days. So I know, Michelle, I think I can get you an address tomorrow. That means for 10 days we're here. So if you guys need to send me something that can get here within 10 days, I can give you the address.
9 days.
Oh shit, 9 days. That's right. They brought us down to 9 days. If not, Michelle, if you want, you can wait until I'm hoping the next place, because we can technically stay 21 days at most of the parks we're going to now. But this particular one did not have an opening for 21 days, which is why we're only here for 9. But if you want to wait one more time, maybe the next one we go to, I think we're going to be able to be there for 21. And then hopefully that gives us a little more time. Lady Blind Wolf, that's awesome. I made an intro. I don't know how to put it on any of my videos yet, but I made it and I think I posted it, but now I'm like, shit, I keep forgetting to go and look and see if you guys can see the intro video. I don't know if I loaded it right so everybody can see it or not. So I'll have to look at that. Hi, Leanne. That's okay. We haven't started the book stuff. I'm still talking.
Oh, yeah.
Intro to what? Intro to like all my videos. You know, like Steven's so good. Steven's always had an intro to all of his videos, have an intro. And like, you know, people who do this much better than I do have the technology capability. They have like an intro to their videos. And I made one. I like figured it out. I made one. Yeah, the trailer. Yeah. And I thought I posted it on my channel, but I don't know if I've gotten any comments. So I bet I posted it under unlisted or something, which means I have to like look at it. I'll try to remember to look at it. And if you guys get a chance, look at it later tonight and let me know what you think. Okay. So the other thing is, if you guys, how do I say this correctly? There is no correctly. Just send some positive energy, because some of the shit that I thought I was through started coming up again today. And I'm trying so hard, like I'm out of fucking state, for God's sakes. I'm trying to move on with my life and weird shit just keeps coming up for no reason. So just send some energy, because I feel like I'm running on a hamster wheel sometimes. Like I'm trying really hard to move forward. At first glance, you do not have a trailer. Shit. All right, Leanne. I bet you I posted, I bet you I loaded it and put it under unlisted instead of public. Actually, hold on. No, not image. Wait. Let me come back to you guys. Give me 1 second. Because you know what? It'll only take me 2 seconds if I do it right now. Otherwise, I might forget. I know. I loaded it. Recently loaded. My walk in Medina 2 weeks ago. Where the hell is my intro? Shorts? Oh, maybe they put it as a short. Yes, it's under shorts. New channel introduction. It says new channel introduction. If they put it as a short. Damn it. How do I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I got 59 thumbs up. They put it as a short. I'm so bad with technology. I don't even know how to upload my own videos. Damn it. All right. I will figure it out though. And see, Leanne posted it. Thank you, honey. And make it, that's my intro though. So I'm going to try to figure out how to put that on most videos. Yes. And I do need a longer introduction video, like to explain who I am again and stuff, because that's a lot different than way back when I started, right? Okay. All right. So the book, over 2 minutes. Yeah. If it's a minute or under, automatically goes into shorts. Oh, well, that's okay, because it's just something that I have to figure out how to put onto the videos that I upload anyways. As long as it's in there someplace, I'm okay with that. I don't know what else to do with it. All right, the book. I'm getting super excited about the book. We're getting to a point in the book where we're really going to be sucked in and want to read. Because it's getting really good. And there's this first part is kind of like the introduction to everything that's going to happen in the meaty part of the book. And we're really getting towards the end of this first part that's like, here you go. This is the introduction to the characters that you're about to be in love with and the stuff that's going on and the whys this happened and, you know, who was that and that kind of stuff. And we're really getting to that part now. And so this gets to be the exciting part where we're really going to be wanting to read again. Mama Jen, write your intro like you're reading a fairy tale. Write in a blank journal. Once upon a time, there was a witch. Her name was Wilwyn. Aw, that's a cute idea. I like that. The music that I used in the intro has to do with fairy tales. So it's funny you say that because it reminded me of my favorite movie, which is, hi, Brandon. What the fuck is my favorite movie? Oh, Princess Bride. Duh. Yeah. Made me think of Limp Bizkit's Labyrinth. Oh, yeah, that's one of them. But Princess Bride is my favorite. Okay. All right. So, let me do my little warning thing. If you have not read The Mists of Avalon and you do not want spoilers, we are about to go through 5 and talk about what happened and all the characters and all that. So if you do not want the spoilers, this is your chance to hop off. Love you. Don't feel bad at all if you haven't read up to that point and you can't stay on. I get it. It's okay. I just don't want to spoil the book for you. Everybody good? Okay, here we go. So, chapter 5. This was a really good chapter. Went very fast. I will say that I do believe next week we should go through 6 and 7 because, again, shorter chapters. And I think we should be able to get through 6 and 7 okay. Does that sound okay for you guys? I was going to say, let me see. That means we will be going to the top of page 97 and 6 starts, don't make me do math, guys, I'm really sorry, but 6 starts at the very bottom of 72. So maybe not. Maybe we should just keep going. It's just because I want to. I think that it's going super fast, that I want it to keep going. Maybe we should just do chapter by chapter. That's not too bad. It's 72 to, so chapter 6 goes to the very top of 85. I didn't want to stop reading after 5. I know, me neither, Heather. I did keep going. I did go through 6. But maybe we should let's just keep it to a chapter. I've been lacking on 3 books. This book is so good, Brandon. This book is how I formed a lot of my my paganism, what I believe in, had a lot to do with this book specifically. So I will say, and you don't even have to buy the book. We have the PDF. You can have the link. Leanne can give the link for the PDF. And we have right here on YouTube, this fantastic actress, woman, reads it aloud to you, and you can listen to it aloud. So you don't even have to buy the book, and you can follow along with us. We are talking about chapter 5 tonight. So, all right. So let's begin. When we left our heroes, Igraine, Uther, Gorlois, the husband really peeved me off in this chapter, right? Oh, yes. I like having the actual book too. Absolutely. I find that I listen to it and look at it, and then I read it again, and then I write notes and stuff. So, okay. When we left Gorlois and Uther and Igraine, Igraine started to feel a little bit better about things, right? She got the dream about Uther, and so she really felt like, okay, you know what? I think this is the path that I'm supposed to be on. I get that this is my destiny, that this is what I have to do, is to marry this guy Uther. And she realizes that they had past lives together, that they were loves through past lives, and that they were priest and priestess of Atlantis, which is amazing. And then it got to the point where she even felt bad for her husband, for Gorlois. She kind of felt like, okay, you know what? It's kind of sad for you. She almost pitied him, right? Like, I'm really kind of sorry that you feel like, you know, I should be your wife, because that was just meant to be as a placeholder. So I grew up a little bit before I met Uther. Okay, so that's where we ended. When we come back, Igraine has gone out her housework. She's done things to keep her time occupied in the meantime, as they're getting ready for, they're going back and forth and figuring out who's supposed to be king and all that kind of stuff. They finally figure out that Uther is going to be the king. Igraine has made herself a dress from the fabric that Gorlois brings her from Londinium. So this cool fabric, she makes herself this great dress. And Gorlois comes in and says, finally, all the fighting is done and Uther is going to be king. We've got all that is all done. We've made the decision Uther is going to be king. And he says to her, put the dress on, put the gown on that you made, and do yourself up a little bit. We have to go to the anointing of the king. So obviously there's this big party. The king is going to be anointed. Everyone is bringing their wives. This is, you know, a time for them to celebrate that now they know who the king is going to be, and they're announcing it and crowning him the king. So she makes a big deal out of making herself up a little bit. She said, like they talk about, she brushes her hair till it shines. She puts her gown on. And as she's doing that, she's thinking of Uther. And she kind of feels like, am I supposed to feel bad about this? Because she kind of is like, I feel kind of bad that I'm making myself up for this guy who's not my husband. I love the conversation between her and Gorlois. I really love that conversation. She's starting to remember who she is as a person who was raised in Avalon, right? She starts to talk about things that she grew up with. She talks about the Druids. There's Gorlois starts talking about Uther. The heart knows what the heart wants. Yes, so much. Gorlois starts to talk about Uther, and he says, I see your gown is finished. You shall wear it if you will when Uther is made high king, and afterwards will hold court for all men and ladies before he goes west. He bears the name Pendragon, greatest dragon, from the banner he bears, and they have some superstitious ritual about dragons and kinship. The dragon is the same as the serpent, Igraine volunteers, a symbol of wisdom, a druidic symbol. So she starts talking about the things that she knows from growing up in Avalon. And she feels comfortable sharing stuff about the Beltane fires, about the things that she believed in since she was a kid. She says, but not all people are fitted for the higher mysteries. In other words, Gorlois understand, because not everyone is the Holy Isle. And since her dream of Atlantis, all of her teachings from her early mysteries teachings when she grew up suddenly start coming back to her, and she knows them again, like it was yesterday. Wise men know that symbols are not needed, but the common folk of the countryside, they need their dragons flying for the kingship, just as they need the Beltane fires and the great marriage when the king is wedded to the land. Gorlois kind of puts her down for it. Well, we know, those of us who are higher intelligence, we know that we don't need those symbols. But, those simple folk, right? Those simple folk and their pagan rituals, they need all their symbols and their crap. But we know because we're higher than thou, right? Which is like screw you, buddy, right? And he says those things are forbidden to a Christian, Gorlois says. The apostle has said it. There is only one name under heaven by which we may be saved, and all those signs and symbols are wicked. I would not be surprised to hear it if Uther, the unchaste man, that he entangles himself in those lewd rites of pagandom. So he puts Uther down, which of course she's kind of like, you know what? That's my future husband you're talking about, right? You know she's going to be kind of up in arms about that because she now realizes that they have been paired from like the beginning of time, from lives after lives after lives. They have been together. And so she's kind of like, I don't think so, dude. You just are an idiot, right? So Gorlois says, I hope one day to see a high king in Britain who will keep the Christian rites alone and leave that pagan shit behind. In other words, Igraine smiled. She's trying not to let it get to her. She said, I do not think either of us will live to see that day, my husband. Even the apostles in your holy books wrote that there was milk for babes and meat for strong men, and the common folk, the once born, have need for their holy wells and their spring garlands and their dancing rites. It would be a sad day for Britain if no Yule fires burned and no garlands fell into the holy wells. So she says, even your book says that the people need their ritual. Even the devils can quote the holy words amiss, Gorlois says. So now she's quoting him his scripture, and he's like, look, I know my scripture. Don't be quoting my scripture to me, right? So they go to the anointing of the king. The anointing happens. She can't wait for it to be over. She watches Uther up there being anointed, and she wonders for a moment, I wonder if we'll even get to talk or anything. But finally it ends, and he kind of comes and finds her and says to her, my lady of Cornwall. So then he says to her, you're not wearing the moonstone. He was focused on moonstone, and Gorlois Uther says that he has dreamt about her. And so we know that she has dreamt about him. All right, I'm going to turn this off because I think there's too many things on, and I want to make sure that we have enough internet. So if I miss your comment or your question, put it in all caps if it's for me, okay? So Uther says that, what did he dream about her? Hopefully that helps. Sorry, guys. I know I'm in the back of the camper, so I hope that that's a little better. Let's see if you came back. If you came back, try to remember and tell me, what did Uther say he dreamed? They shared the same dream. Yes. They shared the same dream. He says, you are not now wearing the moonstone. It was so strange, that stone. When I first saw you wearing it, it was like a dream I had. He says, I had a fever last spring. Okay. Last spring. So this is before Vivian and the Merlin came to see Igraine. Uther had a dream, and I had a strange dream, and I know now it was in that dream that I first beheld you. I first saw you, long before I ever laid eyes on your face. I must have stared like a country lout, Lady Igraine, for I found myself struggling again and again to remember my dream and what part you played in that dream, and the moonstone at your throat. So he says, I dreamed that you were wearing a moonstone. I dreamt about you, and I knew you from way back then. So from last spring. I love that we get a property of the moonstone. Igraine gives us a property of the moonstone, and this is a property, if you kind of work with moonstone, this is a property that you can assign to that. She says, I have been told one of the virtues of the jewel moonstone is to awaken the true memories of the soul. I too have dreamed. So, and that's true. One of the properties of the moonstone is it's a good stone to work with past life work. So that's a great stone to work with, that kind of stuff. Moonstone is my main necklace. Yay! Look at that. Then we find out that they shared a dream, that the dream was shared. He had a light hand on her arm. I cannot remember. Why is it that I seem to see you wearing something gold about your wrists, Igraine? Have you a golden bracelet in the form of a dragon, perhaps? So remember, she saw the torques on his arm, on his upper arms there, the torques. And do you guys know what a torque is? Do I have a torque, but I have one for my wrist. This is the torque. And a lot of people get them and wear them up on their upper arms, and that's from pagan days from long ago. That's a torque. And she shook her head. Not now, she said, paralyzed at the awareness that he had somehow, without her full knowledge, shared that strange memory and a dream. So they both dreamed the same dream. She now knows. She dreamt about Atlantis and about them being a priest and priestess of Atlantis in a past life. And they now both know that they have shared that dream. And so once again, we find out that that wasn't really a dream, but more of like an astral travel type of thing. And they both shared that. So, like how much more symbolism, how much more obvious, like you two are supposed to be together, do they need at this point, right? They are astral traveling the same thing. Uther then brings up the Ring of Stones. He says, I don't know what's happening to me. So, okay, here he is, a man who at that time, he's just crowned king. And how, have you ever had something happen to you that seems surreal? Like, I can't believe this is actually happening. I'm sure that's one of those things. Being crowned a king has to be one of those things that you're like, is this real? Is this really happening? This seems so odd that I'm being crowned a king. So you can see he's probably like, what in the world is going on here? Torque and jewelry, a metal collar, neck ring, armband consisting of a bar ribbon of twisted metal. Yes, a torque can also be a... So he's feeling like this. He's like, what in the world? He says, I don't know what is happening to me. All that has happened in these, my father and king, the strife of all these kings, they're choosing their high king. It seems unreal. And you, Igraine, are the most unreal of it all. So all of this he just got crowned king. And that seems more plausible than all this stuff with Igraine. To the point where he's like, is this real? Am I going crazy? Because this really seems like this can't be happening. How is this happening? And, you know, that's kind of how we all would react. Wouldn't you react like that? When you'd be like, all right, this has to be a joke. This can't be real. How can this possibly be real? Right? He says, have you been to the west where the great ring of stones stands on the plain? And they dreamed about that, right? They saw that in their dream, both of them. They say that in olden times it was a Druid temple, but the Merlin says not. It was built long before the Druid came to these lands. Have you been there? And she says, not in this life, my lord. And he says, I wish I could show it to you, for I dreamed once I was there with you. And then he says, okay, don't think I'm crazy. I know how that sounds. I know that sounds like it's insane. And he's saying this to her, and he's like, I know you're going to think I'm nuts. Was that Stonehenge? I would assume so, yes. Because of when they talk about where it is and that kind of thing, I would assume that, yes, that it probably is Stonehenge. So he's saying, I know this is nuts, you know, and he says to her, don't become a madman, chattering of dreams and prophecies. And he kind of laughs. Let's talk of ordinary things. So finally he says, okay, I know this is too nuts. Let's just talk of ordinary things. And she says to him, well, I would talk to you of ordinary things, but like if you had a wife, I would talk, how is your wife and kids and all that kind of stuff. But that's not who we are, right? She's like, that's not really our normal talk. Our normal talk is this crazy shit. he says, you'll be thinking I'm old not to be a married man. I've had enough women, but not, I always thought, even though I had women, I always thought I really should be in love. Basically, he's like, I really thought there should be more of a connection before I wanted to marry someone. And I didn't want to just marry someone because I was sleeping with them. Basically, he's like, I want to be in love. I want that connection feeling. And I never had that before. So, and he says to her, do you love Gorlois? What a question. Now, back then, especially, you know, him asking that question, it's kind of, but, you know, that's where they are. They've dreamt about each other. They know that they're connected. She definitely knows that they're connected. He suspects it, and he thinks he's going crazy, I'm sure. I feel bad for Uther at this point, because he's like, what the fuck am I doing? I am dreaming about this married woman. I just became king, especially now. He just became king. You know, he could have any woman he wanted. He's king. He could say, you know, I want you for, he could have anybody he wanted. And instead, he's got this weird, insane connection to a grain and this thing he's not really sure what it is. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? I'm crazy. I'm crazy. I don't understand. But he says to her, do you love him? Because I suspect that if she had said to him, yeah, I love Gorlois, he would have tried very hard to let it go. Now, obviously, of course I don't. I was given to him not by my choice. And that's what she says. She's like, no, I don't love him. She says specifically, quietly, in a quiet voice, no, I was given to him when I was too young to care what man I married. Uther turns away and paces angrily, saying at last, and I can see you are no wench to tumble, meaning I'm not going to just bring you to bed. It's not who you are. That's not what I want either. And why in the name of all the gods must I be bewitched by a woman who is wedded to one of my most loyal partisans? So here they're both kind of, he's going through that. She went through that earlier. He's going through that phase where he's like, oh my goodness, what the hell is going on here? Why and all the gods am I in love with this woman who is married to one of my most loyal people? How can this be? I'm going crazy. And he's trying to fight against his own feelings. Like I said, I suspect if she had said to him, yes, I love Gorlois, he would have found a way to let her go. That's not what was supposed to happen. But I think he is a good enough guy that he would have tried to let her go and, you know, been unhappy and done what he could with whatever he has. Very heavy stuff, very heavy, like the emotional ties that they obviously are supposed to be together. So she talks about the Merlin. She's like, oh, you know what? The Merlin must have had some kind of say in this too. I don't think it's that though. Not that the Merlin didn't have any say in it. But because they are destined to be together, that all of these things are going to line up. And in our own lives, we see the coincidences, right? The synchronicities start happening, and we see all of these things lining up so that the universe goes, yep, finally, you're on the right path. You know how you know you're on the right path? Because suddenly things start to line up for you. You start to get signs that, oh yes, this is where I'm supposed to be. Oh yes, this person asked me this thing out of the blue that all of a sudden lines up with what I'm suddenly trying to do. And these synchronicities start to occur in our own lives that we know, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I know this because all this stuff keeps happening. And then the husband bumbles in. Yes, he surely does. So what happens? They're still trying to figure this out. She starts getting confused. Her whole soul and body cries out with the reality of that kiss in their dream. She puts her hands over her face and she starts to weep. He stares at her, backing away a little. Igraine, what can we do? And she says, I don't know. I don't know. Her certainty had become confusion because now, guess what? Now they're faced with the fact that they're supposed to be together and she's married. She's married to a loyal advisor of his. So now what? What are they supposed to do with that? And they don't know. She starts sobbing. And Gorlois comes in as she's sobbing. Really? I mean, it looks terrible. She's sobbing. And the last time he caught them, her dress was hiked up from the branch. And it looked like they were alone in this cemetery. And so, it doesn't look good. He flips out. As he probably should, really. I mean, and not to the extent, obviously, that he does, but he says, "What have you been saying? What is this unseemly matter? Why are you crying? You're sobbing. What are you sobbing for? What have you been saying, my king, that my wife looks so wretched? I know you, king, don't forget, this is not just anybody anymore. He has been anointed Gorlois' king." So he's talking, approaching a vassal's wife at your crowning. And I mean, that's how much more can he lay it out there? What the hell are you doing with my wife? And we're at your crowning, you idiot. In which case, Igraine, of course, also flips out because now she's been accused of something that she hasn't even done, and she's trying not to because she's married to him. Igraine says, "I have not deserved this of you. What have I done that you should cast such an accusation at me in a public place?" So don't forget, now they're in public. And Gorlois makes a scene like something horrible has happened here, which is embarrassing to his king at his crowning and embarrassing to his wife because he's calling her out in this public place. It's a horrible situation. And Igraine also feels guilty, and Uther feels guilty, even though they haven't done anything yet. But they both feel guilty. And he, of course, says, "You're crying. Why are you crying then? Why do you weep if he said nothing unseemly to you?" Uther steps in. He says, "You'll have to ask the lady why she weeps, for I do not know. But loose her arm, or I will make you." Now, the thing is, he has this grip on her, and they describe it later as you can see the bruises start to happen. So he really has a grip on her arm. And Uther says, "Let go of her fucking arm, dude. Or I will make you let go of it. I don't care if she is your wife. I'm your king. You're going to let go." She's totally embarrassed. Totally embarrassed. Obviously, they're in public. Her husband is making this huge scene. He starts to push her out the door. And she goes into a rage. He goes into a rage. What does he do? I mean, they have a horrible fight. He basically calls her a whore. She throws stuff at him. He hits her. He says in a rage, "I will not accuse you before all men, Igraine, but God is my witness. I should be justified in doing so. Uther looked at you just now as a man looked at a woman he has known, as no Christian man has a right to know any other man's wife." Igraine has to see that, yeah, all right, he's right. He was probably looking at her in a manner that was unseemly, especially for the time, but she knows that they haven't done anything. And she has to try to gain some ground here, because in her head and in her heart, she knows at some point they have to meet again. She doesn't know when Gorlois is going to die, but she knows he's going to die, and she's supposed to be with Uther. So somehow something has to happen here where that can happen. So she has to kind of stand her ground some. Unfortunately, Gorlois loses it. She keeps past lives, of course, no way. She keeps, and she several times brings up, "He is your king. Are you crazy? Even if you think he did this stuff, which I'm swearing to you did not happen, he's your king. What are you going to fight him for my honor or something? That sounds ridiculous. You're supposed to be on the same side, and he's your king." And so she keeps trying to get him to realize that he's the king. He's the king. What are you doing? He's the king. And he's beyond that. Beyond that. She throws the mirror. Gorlois bought her a silver mirror, beautiful silver mirror. She throws it at him. She throws the amber necklace that he bought her. She throws it at him. He beats her a couple times, and then he leaves for a minute. And she starts packing. And in her head, she's like, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm packing and I gotta go. The only thing in her head is Morgaine, her daughter at Tintagel. In her head, she's going to leave and she's going to figure out a way somehow to try to go get her daughter. But she knows that technically it's like, I'll try to figure something out. She's like out of there. She's done. She starts packing up everything that was hers that he didn't give her, that she made from her own two hands. And Gorlois comes back before she can finish packing and sees her packing and says, good, we're leaving anyways. So pack up the rest of my shit too. And it's, you know, you feel like, you feel so bad for her. For him too. I always felt bad for Gorlois too. You know, even though he's an ass and he, you know, beats her because of this and stuff, he's in this situation that is not a good situation to be in. I can't imagine. The green jealousy monster rears its blinding stupid head. Yeah, absolutely. But if we're honest with ourselves, he has a right to be jealous, right? I mean, they're in love with each other. They have been since past lives. And so, I can see, not that he has a right to beat her or anything, but yeah, I can see why he's pissed. They go back and forth though. Like she rips her clothes off. They go back and forth. And they finally, he says, okay, we're leaving. I'm taking all my men. We're leaving tonight. We're packing everything up. And we're out of here. When he left, she went to leave behind him and the men wouldn't let her leave. And something happened in the street. We don't know if it was like something to do with Uther, something to do with the Saxons. Something is happening, and Gorlois is taking his people and leaving. They pack everything up. He says to her, "You're going to have to ride a long time, so you know, wear stuff that you can. Hopefully, you can ride because we're not stopping. I don't care if you hurt or not. Too bad for you." And they start riding for home. They get to the edge of the water where they have to take a ferry, and the people in Cornwall start to notice that they're leaving, and they yell at them out like across the river, "You cowards, you're leaving at a time where things are in upheaval and you're leaving your king," and stuff. And so it's like a very obviously a rift in relationship between Gorlois and Uther is done. There is no, and Gorlois says, if I have to fight him, I'll have to fight him. There's no way that we're gonna, after telling the king to bite him, yeah, exactly. There's no way that they're gonna be able to get things worked out or anything. That's just not happening. So because I read ahead, I want to make sure that I don't go too far ahead. They have this awful ride. They finally pitch a tent on the second night, and Igraine realizes that probably Gorlois is going to like force her to have sex, because he now has to prove that he's a manly man. Which this is the part that, you know, you're like, and back in those days, there's no rape of a married woman. That's your job. You have to give it up when he wants. She decides really to kind of let it happen. She's like, whatever. She's just going to lay there and let it happen. And what happens? So the end of the chapter, literally, the end of the chapter is she knows that she's not worried about her getting pregnant because she knows that Destiny says she won't get pregnant by him. So she kind of tries to lay there and let it happen, and Gorlois can't perform. And she thinks, well, that's his punishment. That's the Merlin is going to make it so he can't perform his sexual duties. So, and that's like the end of the chapter is Uther's suggestion to divorce her really pissed the husband off. Yes. Oh, yes. Big time. And yes, so he goes and he confronts Uther, and Uther says, well, why don't you just divorce her if you don't want her then? In other words, I'll take her. You divorce her and I'll pick her up. Yeah, that really doesn't go over very well. And of course, Gorlois accuses her of cursing him so that he can't perform. Have you put some spell upon my manhood, you accursed bitch? He says to her. And she says, I have not. And then laughs at him, which is kind of like the worst thing you can do. Oh, so bad. In a low contempt, although indeed, if I knew such spells, I would have been glad to do so, my strong, gallant husband. Do you expect me to weep because you cannot take me by force? Try it, and I shall lie here and laugh in your face. So, if he could perform up until then, he'll never perform again after that, right? Who the hell could? She probably did by accident. Yeah, she probably did. Like, okay, fucker, you think this is gonna happen? It's not gonna happen. And so that's how it ends. He turns his back. They go all the way to Cornwall. He tries several times to force her to have sex. He can't do it. Even then, she knew with the sure intuition of the priestess trained that he would never be potent with her again. And that is the end of chapter 5. That's it. So when we move on to chapter 6, they're back at Tintagel. And so now we really have to figure out how the hell this is going to happen. And Igraine has to figure out how the hell this is going to happen, right? So getting very good. It's up to you guys. I am okay with doing 2 chapters, but I don't know if it's too much for you guys. Do you want to try to do 6 and 7 this week? And then we'll go through those 2 chapters next week, or do you want to just stick to 1 still? I was thinking it was 5 that was really short. Really, we should have done that last week, but I didn't realize ahead of time that it was chapter 5 that was shorter. 1 chapter. Okay. All right. We will just go to chapter 6 then. Try not to go ahead too much. I know it'll get difficult, and it'll get more and more difficult the more we get into it. So I'm going to try really hard not to go ahead either. But so go through chapter 6. We're going to, I'm going to say we're going to meet at the same time next week. We will still be here in this park because we're here for 9 days and we just got here today. So next week at the same time, which for me now is 5 o'clock. For you is whatever time almost an hour ago was. We're going to meet at the same time. And hopefully then I'll be able to do it outside and stuff. And the good thing is, because it's 5 o'clock here, it's still, here we are almost done, and it's still light out here. Yay! So maybe I can do it without the lanterns and stuff. That would be really good. And we know that the light is getting lighter and lighter as we go by the day. So I will make the event for next week. We'll go through chapter 6. Keep an eye out. I keep meaning to do more videos. I had a great idea as I was driving through some of Arizona. The Segura cacti are the big, huge cactus. And they're everywhere where we are right now. And I think I might start to try to do some cacti divining with cacti. So I might try to post something about that. Click the like button on your way out. Thank you guys for coming. I miss you guys all the time when I'm not on, and I keep meaning to come on. So I really want to try to come on and do more. Especially now, almost in spite of the fact that people keep trying to bring me down. I'm kind of sick of it. And I'm almost like, you know what? Fuck everybody else. I'm sick of feeling like I'm not enough. It's time for me to really start to try to come back on. So I really think that I'm going to be posting more and doing more videos. So keep an eye out. I'm hoping. Thank you guys for being there, and we'll see you next week, and we'll go through chapter 6. Love you.